Greetings, magnificent, beautiful, eternal, spirit soul, divine being that you are, and I know who you are because I know who I am. And you have to remember who you are. My topic is, are you being controlled by the limits of a false ID? Are you being controlled by the limits of a false ID? Let me see your ID. Was it my identification? Is not on a driver's license. That's a bunch of numbers and stuff so that I can be categorized in a system, so that they can then make me as a computer blip, which I am not a computer blip because I'm not a computer. And my mind is not a computer in a sense. My conscious being is not a computer. The mind is a computer, okay? And it is designed to get everybody focused on death and dying, lack and limitation, like and dislike. It's a duality function that splits, what would you say, makes an enemy out of you. You could become your own enemy so that nobody has to monitor you because you're monitoring yourself. And then you monitor everybody else around you, the children, the mate, the friends, all that. We got to, they got to monitor everybody to make sure they're controlled and bring him into that mindset. So whatever the mind is telling people, people believe. So what do you go to school for? Because it's all done with the mind. You have to learn something that you so-called don't know when you know everything. You know all because you have divine wisdom. You are divine wisdom. Not you have it, you are that. You are all-knowing. Part of you, now you are part of the source of all. And it's personal, not an impersonal source. It's a personal because you're a person. Your source, and then that what happens is that there's certain spiritual or religious paths, whatever, are very impersonal. Nobody's a person. It's all just a statistic. It's a blending in. It's controlled by a law somehow, by some force of some kind, whatever. That never got to me. That's why I love the Vedas. Veda means knowledge. Don't get confused. You see, what happens in regular religions, not regular, but those that are designed to control you, have to keep you in a certain system that keeps you dependent on that teaching and who's ever teaching it to you, so that you do not do your own research and know what's happening, because there's all these taboos and you're kicked out. You see, if you do that, if you don't do that, because groups get together because they have the common idea, a common belief system, a common, they have a lot that in common. And people tend to want to make everybody like themselves because that system is a duplicating system. It means thoughts are duplicated. People are duplicated. People are copies. People make copies of themselves. We are copies of whatever our belief system is, in a sense, whoever and what we're copying. People copy celebrities. Like you'll see people, even they'll copy themselves as a Barbie doll. That's just a doll. That's just like, and it's, but they'll do all the operations, take their ribs out, get the thing out, do the thing, because they're a Barbie doll. Well, what does that do? Well, they make money from that. They can model from that. They could do that. They can make money maybe from sex, because people want to have sex with a Barbie doll, you know. And you get this kind of wacko. It's like, ooh, really? Okay, okay. And then making, something like masturbation is terrible. You can't do that. You have to always get it from somebody. What is masturbation anyway? It's like, really? Everybody's masturbating in their own mind, for God's sake, because it's always about trying to get some morsels of pleasure out there somewhere and try and avoid pain and suffering if you possibly can. Or make your identity, what would you say, popular because of who and what you identify with. So you're in a group. You got to be in a group, and they all act alike, dress alike. I was seeing people walking to school, and all the women wear pants. Well, you have to do now because to avoid rape and so whatever that stupid thing is. And it's all trying to get pleasure then out of somebody else's body, pleasure for their own little body because they don't have pleasure for the mind. And what is all this? It's all caused by this thing we call the mind. And it's what is psychology about the mind? What is philosophy about thoughts and beliefs and such of the mind? What is psychiatry about and psychology? It's all about the mind. So what about you think? It's about words. It's about definitions. Phoenicians. Now remember, the Phoenicians were the masters of the waterway. So they were able to go with false flags out to all these other people and then attack villages and places and rape, pillage, and burn, and then blame the neighbors because they had that flag up as a false flag. So they trusted these people to come in, that they're okay, and they come in and then they devour everything, but they never take the blame because they always set somebody else up to take the blame. And that's how the system works. And you can watch that system and everything that's going on. It's the same system. Because it never, this demoniac nature, and what I want to call a demoniac, it feeds on the life of others. It's like a bug. I call it an infection, an insect, if you will, not just a reptile. That's another level of a mind virus of some kind, mind creature, and it's like going to movies that scare you. Like a lot of people, their lives are there because the only time they feel alive is when they've got some fear or some scare or some going on or, oh my God, they don't realize they're programming themselves with realities that they're going to perceive that's going to be there because in a hypnotic trance. And I had this one person telling me recently that she went on the stage with a hypnotist, and then the hypnotist, and she said, well, I'll just pretend so they look good and I'll do all that stuff. But I really wasn't hypnotized. No, she was hypnotized all right. She was hypnotized to pretend. Because thinking, well, I'm just pretending this, yes, and they're all pretending because they want to be liked by the hypnotist. They want to pretend, they want to go along so it looks good. She was completely hypnotized because she's hypnotized now by the way she lives and where she does and the work that she's in that media world. And such is it. It's all a hypnotic trance. And when people are doing the trance dance is what they're doing, they want everybody else to get infected by the same thing they're infected by, which are all of these beliefs and such, because people are being controlled by the limits of this false ID. And they're limiting themselves and limiting others, like I told you before, the crabs in a barrel. Those crabs, when any crab tries to get out of the barrel, the others reach up and grab them down and put them back down into the barrel, so that they can all then be fighting and screaming. Because then when your identity has to do with stuff, your identity has to do with all this, you're always, and what you know, you're always under threat, aren't you? Because of exposure to who and what is really been controlling you, because you are like, they're not controlling your life. It's controlling us, given we are the life force, not a force, the life essence, the life. We are life itself. And you are eternal. Eternity. And even, see, all these words are constructed through certain patterns. And those patterns, we'll get into that in another time. But anyway, all of this kind of thing you will get at retreats with me and work with me on this ongoing basis. And what I like to do is I like to do counseling and such by love offerings, so everyone can do that, and I'm be there available for you. I would like you to give a love offering. I ask that you can do that, but it's like it's going to be dependent on you and who you are in your consciousness, you see. So I'm there to serve you. And then also by my career, and it is mentoring program where it's for your work, for what you want to get out there in the world and how you do it, because I've done that as a global person. I would call it rather planetary. rather use that word. And so you've got to be conscious of the words that you're using and how those words are influencing you, infecting you, because everybody's using it in whatever language. But we're already naturally intuitive, all-knowing, and all empowering. That's who we really are. So we want to so we come back to who we are, and that's what my work is. So coming up to Mount Shasta with workshops with me and retreats in nature, and then you could do that on the individual, couple basis, or family basis, or in the group basis. And if you email me, Terry@terrycolewhitaker.com, then I will send you then that flyer. It's going to come on a PDF, so sometimes a little warning sign comes up. But we're clean, and it's not that, but you have to do what you have to do. But anyway, get that, or give me a call. And all is great, and it's beautiful up here. And I also have trainings that people want to teach from my books, want to do spiritual practitioner work, and also if you have your work and your ministry out in the world. A lot of my students are now spiritual leaders and best-selling authors and such. So anyway, big hugs. I love you. So contact me. I'm here for you and here for us.